The rain hammered the windows of the 47th floor office like it had a personal grudge, turning the Manhattan skyline into a smeared watercolor of lights and shadows. Elijah slammed his laptop shut, his knuckles white against the black case, and whispered, "This can't be happening," his voice cracking like thunder in the empty conference room. I froze in the doorway, coffee cup halfway to my lips, watching the man I'd loved in secret for 2 years unravel before me. His promotion evaporating in a glitch's cruel code, his dreams deleted with a single erroneous line. It started like any other Tuesday at Apex Dynamics, the tech giant where we'd both clawed our way up from interns to mid-level coders in the heart of Silicon Alley. Elijah Harper, brilliant, unassuming Elijah with his wire-rimmed glasses perpetually sliding down his nose and that laugh that could disarm a room full of venture capitalists, was the golden boy of the analytics team. He'd spent 18 months building the predictive algorithm that was supposed to revolutionize how we forecasted market crashes. A beast of machine learning that sifted through petabytes of data like a digital oracle. His code was poetry, elegant, efficient, unbreakable. Or so we thought. I was Logan Reyes, the quieter half of our duo, the one who handled the back-end integrations while Elijah dreamed up the stars. We'd met in orientation, 2 wide-eyed kids from opposite coasts, me from the sun-baked sprawl of Los Angeles, him from the misty shores of Portland, bonded over late-night debugging sessions fueled by bad diner coffee and dreams of changing the world. Over time, those sessions stretched into weekends at dive bars in the East Village, where we'd talk about everything except the electricity that hummed between us whenever our knees brushed under the table. It was there, unspoken but alive, a current neither of us dared to name until that rainy afternoon. The glitch hit at 2:17 p.m. A routine system update, the kind that rolls out every quarter without fanfare. But this one carried a phantom error, a corrupted variable that flagged Elijah's algorithm as the source of a fabricated data breach. Alarms blared across the floor, red lights pulsing on monitors like arterial blood, and within minutes, HR was at his desk, flanked by 2 stone-faced security guards. "Mr. Harper, we're placing you on immediate suspension pending investigation," the lead drone intoned, her voice as flat as the termination script she clutched. Elijah's face drained of color, his hazel eyes locking onto mine across the cubicle farm, pleading for this to be a joke. I stood up so fast my chair skidded back, spilling my coffee across the keyboard. "Wait, this is insane. Elijah's code is clean. I integrated it myself last week, but they weren't listening." The guards escorted him out like a criminal, his laptop confiscated, his badge yanked from his lanyard with a rip that echoed in my chest. The office buzzed with whispers. "Did you hear? Harper's algorithm tanked the Sims." "Yeah. Total sabotage, guy's done. Lies. All of it. Born from a glitch no one understood yet." By evening, the rain had turned to a relentless downpour, mirroring the storm in my gut as I paced my cramped Brooklyn walk-up. Elijah texted at 7:42. "Can I come over? Need to talk." My heart jackhammered, part fear, part something deeper, the kind of pull that had kept me up nights wondering what it would feel like to trace the freckles across his collarbone. I buzzed him up without a second thought, and when he stepped inside, soaked to the bone, his dark curls plastered to his forehead, I pulled him into a hug that said everything words couldn't. We collapsed onto the sagging couch, a thrift store relic from my college days, and he buried his face in my shoulder. "Logan, it's over. They think I planted malware." "Me? After everything?" His voice muffled against my shirt, warm and broken. I held him tighter, my hand stroking his back in slow circles, the scent of rain and his cedar cologne filling the space between us. For the first time, the barriers we'd built, professional distance, unspoken fears, crumbled under the weight of his despair. That night, we didn't sleep. We pored over the error logs on my ancient desktop, cross-referencing timestamps until our eyes burned. It was no accident. The glitch was surgical, rewriting Elijah's commits to mimic deliberate sabotage. "Someone's covering their tracks," I muttered, frustration boiling over. Elijah nodded, his jaw set, but beneath the anger, I saw the fracture. The boy who'd grown up queer in a conservative pocket of Oregon, always fighting to prove he belonged, now staring down institutional erasure again. As dawn crept through the blinds, painting his face in gold, he looked at me, not as a colleague, but as the anchor he'd needed all along. "Why are you doing this? You could walk away. Save your own skin." I met his gaze, the words I'd rehearsed in my head for years finally spilling out. "Because it's you, Elijah. And some glitches. They're just excuses to hide the truth. But us, we're the real code. The one that sticks." He leaned in then, tentative, his lips brushing mine in a kiss that tasted of salt and rain, soft, searching, a question wrapped in hope. I answered without hesitation, pulling him closer, our breaths syncing like intertwined algorithms. In that moment, amid the chaos, we weren't just survivors, we were starting something unbreakable. Or so I believed. The next week blurred into a haze of appeals and all-nighters. Elijah crashed at my place, our routine shifting from awkward roommates to something intimate. Shared showers to conserve hot water, lazy mornings with his head on my chest, listening to the AC hum like a lullaby. We filed grievances with the union rep, a grizzled vet named Carla who chain-smoked in the lobby and promised to light a fire under their asses. But Apex's machine was a monolith, greased by NDAs and golden parachutes for the execs. Whispers turned to outright hostility. Colleagues who'd toasted Elijah's beta demo now averted their eyes, as if his guilt was contagious. One evening, after another fruitless meeting with legal, we walked the length of the Brooklyn Bridge, the city lights twinkling like defiant stars against the polluted sky. Elijah stopped midway, gripping the railing, his voice raw. "I keep thinking about my dad. He never got why I left Portland. Said coding was no place for a sensitive soul like you. Now this? It's like the universe agrees." I turned him to face me, the wind whipping our jackets. "The universe is just bad code, Eli. And I'm the debugger. We're fixing this together." He smiled then, faint but real, and kissed me under the suspension cables, the world narrowing to the press of his body against mine. It was romantic, reckless, the kind of love that blooms in the cracks of adversity, humanistic in its quiet rebellion against the grind. But as we crossed into Manhattan, my phone buzzed with a text from our mutual friend. "Theo heard about Eli. Tough break." Drinks later, I hesitated, a shadow flickering in my mind. Theo had been oddly quiet during the crisis, his usual banter replaced by evasive nods. Little did I know, that shadow was the first thread of betrayal unraveling our fragile weave. Back at Apex, the air thickened with suspicion, like the humidity before a summer squall. Elijah and I worked in tandem from my apartment, remote access our only weapon against the fortress of firewalls. We'd mapped the glitch's origin to a server cluster in the cloud, a digital breadcrumb trail leading to an anonymous commit from 3 days before the update. It's internal, Elijah said one night, his fingers flying across the keys, illuminated by the blue glow of the screen. Someone with admin privileges. I nodded, brewing another pot of coffee black. No sugar, the fuel of the damned. Our days bled into nights, punctuated by stolen moments. His hand on my thigh during strategy sessions, my lips at his temple when exhaustion won. It was love in the margins, tender and fierce, a reminder that humanity persisted even in binary coldness. Elijah opened up about his past, the high school bullies who'd scrawled slurs on his locker, the coming-out letter to his parents that arrived back unopened. I built walls, he admitted, curled against me in the dark. But you make me want to tear them down. Those words anchored me, even as doubt gnawed at the edges. Theo, our third wheel from the early days, had been MIA since the incident. We'd trioed through hackathons and rooftop parties, Theo's charisma the spark to our steady burn. He was the one who joked about bromance gone wild when he caught us stealing glances, always diffusing tension with a wink. Now, his silence screamed. The breakthrough came on a muggy Friday, the kind where the city sweats under its own weight. Buried in the logs, Elijah unearthed a mirrored IP, Theo's home address in Queens. No way, I breathed, the room spinning. Theo, who'd vouched for Elijah's integrity in the group chat just weeks ago. The pieces clicked, his unexplained absences during the update window, the way he'd pushed Elijah to take risks with the algorithm's parameters. Betrayal hit like a server crash, cold and irreversible. We confronted him at his favorite speakeasy in Williamsburg, a dimly lit den called The Circuit, where mixologists served cocktails named after obsolete tech. Theo was at the bar, nursing a Manhattan, his boyish grin faltering when he saw us. Guys, what's with the funeral faces? Elijah slid onto the stool beside him, voice steady as steel. Why'd you sabotage my code? Theo, was it the promotion? Jealousy? Theo's laugh died quick, replaced by a flush creeping up his neck. Sabotage? Come on. Eli, that's paranoid. But his eyes darted to me, pleading. I leaned in, heart pounding. We traced the commit. Your VPN. Your timestamp. Spill it. The bar noise faded, leaving only the clink of ice in his glass. He sighed, shoulders slumping. It wasn't personal. Apex is cutting heads, layoffs incoming. I needed the edge. Thought if your algo flopped, mine would shine. Elijah recoiled as if slapped, the hurt carving lines into his face I'd never seen before. We were friends. I trusted you. Theo reached out, desperate. Logan, tell him, bro code, right? It was survival. But I stepped back, the fracture in our trio widening. Survival doesn't mean screwing over the people who have your back. You're done. Theo, we left him there, drowning in his drink, the rain starting up again like applause for our exit. That night, back in Brooklyn, Elijah shattered. He paced the living room, fists clenched, tears streaming unchecked. How do I know who to trust now? Everyone's just playing the game. I caught his wrists gently, pulling him down to the floor with me, our knees touching in the carpet's weave. Not everyone. Not me. I cupped his face, thumbs brushing away the salt. This glitch. Theo, it's all noise. The signal is us. What we build together. He searched my eyes, vulnerability raw, then surged forward, kissing me with a desperation that bordered on drowning. It was emotional, cathartic, lips and hands speaking the forgiveness he couldn't yet voice to himself. We didn't rush. It was slow, reverent, two souls mending in the quiet hours. As we lay tangled afterward, his head on my chest, he whispered, "I love you, Logan." Even if the world glitches out, my heart swelled, the words a lifeline in the storm. Love you too, Eli. Always, but betrayal's poison lingered. The next morning, Carla called with bad news. Apex was doubling down, citing irrefutable evidence of Elijah's involvement. They'd looped in the feds, cyber fraud allegations, the works. Panic clawed at us, but so did resolve. We go public, Elijah decided, his chin lifting. Leak the logs. Show the world what corporate greed looks like. I hesitated, my own job on the line, our future teetering, but one look at his determined gaze, and I was in. We drafted the exposé, anonymized but damning, ready for upload to tech forums and indie news sites. As we hit send, the apartment felt electric, charged with purpose. Elijah pulled me into a hug, his laughter bubbling up for the first time in weeks. Light, genuine, a spark reigniting. To glitches and glitches layers, he toasted with lukewarm coffee. I clinked my mug against his, grinning. To the code that counts. In that instant, our love felt invincible, a romantic defiance against the machine. Yet, as notifications pinged with early shares, a new message slipped through from an unknown number. Back off, or you're both next. The threat hung like a virus, waiting to corrupt. We ignored it at first, buoyed by the growing buzz. By midday, Apex Glitch trended on X, journalists circling like sharks. Elijah's phone rang off the hook, old mentors, queer advocacy groups offering support. For a moment, it was triumph, the underdogs exposing the beast. We celebrated with takeout from the halal cart on the corner, sprawled on the fire escape, watching the sunset bleed pink over the East River. His hand in mine, fingers laced. We talked futures, maybe starting our own startup, an ethical AI firm in some sunny California town. No more hiding, he said, squeezing. Just us, building something real, but reality intruded fast. That night, as we scrolled through supportive replies, my inbox lit up with an internal Apex memo, leaked. Ironically, layoff lists, performance evals. And my name, flagged for collusion. Heart sinking, I showed Elijah. His face hardened. They're coming for you now. Because of me. I shook my head. Fierce. No. Because they can't stand seeing us win. We held each other through the fear. Bodies pressed close. Breaths mingling in the dark. It was humanistic, this clinging. Two men loving openly in a world wired for conformity, finding strength in shared scars. Dawn brought the summons, a 9 a.m. meeting at HQ. We dressed sharp, Elijah in his best blazer, me in the tie he'd picked out months ago, and rode the subway in silence, hands brushing in the crowd. The elevator ride up was eternity, each floor a judgment. When the doors opened, the floor was a ghost town, desks cleared, the air stale with defeat. Carla met us in the lobby, cigarette dangling unlit. They're offering a deal. Elijah drops the leak. You both get quiet severance. Walk away clean. Elijah's laugh was bitter. Clean? After they framed me? She shrugged. Weary. It's America, kid. Capitalism doesn't do apologies. We declined. Of course, our integrity the last firewall. As we turned to leave, Theo appeared from the shadows, eyes red-rimmed. Wait. I told them about the exposé. To save my spot, the second betrayal landed like a gut punch. Elijah staggering back. You sold us out? Theo's voice broke. I'm sorry. I panicked. Rage and grief warred in Elijah's eyes, but I stepped between them, voice low. Get out, Theo. Before I make you. He slunk away, tail between legs, leaving us in the echoing hall. Elijah trembled, fists balled. Everyone leaves. Always. I pulled him close, right there in the corporate tomb. Not me. Never. Our kiss was salt-streaked. A vow amid ruins, romantic in its raw honesty, emotional in its plea for belief. The fallout cascaded like a chain reaction in a faulty reactor. By noon, Apex's PR machine revved up, press releases decrying disgruntled employees and baseless accusations, painting Elijah as a rogue coder with a grudge. Social media amplified it, trolls piling on with homophobic barbs that twisted the knife. Another snowflake crying wolf. Elijah scrolled through them in our cab ride home, jaw clenched, but I snatched his phone, tossing it into my bag. Don't let them in your head, Eli. They're algorithms too designed to divide. He nodded, but the damage seeped in, etching doubt into his posture. That afternoon, we holed up in a coffee shop in Park Slope, a queer-friendly haven with rainbow flags fluttering in the breeze. Over lattes and scones, we plotted our counterstrike, reaching out to allies, from Elijah's old professor at NYU to a podcaster who'd exposed big tech scandals before. We humanize it, I said, sketching notes on a napkin. Not just code stories. Yours. Ours. Elijah's eyes softened, his foot hooking around my ankle under the table. Our story. Yeah. That's the real hack. As the sun dipped low, casting amber through the windows, he took my hand across the table, openly, defiantly. A few patrons glanced, smiles flickering in recognition. It was a small rebellion, but in that touch, romance bloomed anew, tender, unapologetic, a quiet fuck you to the suits downtown. We walked home hand in hand through the brownstones, pausing to kiss against lampposts, the city our indifferent witness. I feel alive again, Elijah murmured, forehead to mine. Because of you, but peace was fleeting. That evening, his parents called first contact in years. Portland's conservative chill seeped through the line as his mother, voice quavering, demanded, "What have you gotten into, Elijah? This lifestyle of yours, it's bringing scandal." He gripped the phone white-knuckled, me at his side like a shield. Mom, it's not about that. It's about justice, she sighed, the sound heavy with unspoken prayers. Come home. Leave that city, and him, click. The silence after was deafening. Elijah staring at the wall, tears carving silent paths. I wrapped around him from behind, chin on his shoulder. They're wrong. You're not a scandal, you're a survivor. He turned, burying his face in my neck, sobs racking his frame. We sank to the floor, holding on as if the world might pull us apart. It was emotional rawness at its core, love as witness to pain, humanistic in its embrace of imperfection. Hours later, spent and sated in each other's arms, he whispered, "Thank you for staying." Most wouldn't. I kissed his temple. Most aren't me. The next days were a whirlwind of interviews and depositions. We met with a lawyer from the ACLU's tech equity arm, a sharp-dressed woman named Lena who saw the glitch for what it was, discrimination masked as error. They targeted you because you're out, Elijah. Visible. A threat to their bro culture. Evidence-mounted emails from Theo to HR, hinting at diversity hires as liabilities. The betrayal deepened. Theo hadn't just sold us out. He'd weaponized Elijah's queerness, whispering doubts to execs about unstable influences. Climax brewed on a crisp Thursday, the leaves in Prospect Park turning fire red as we prepped for the board hearing. Elijah paced our living room, rehearsing testimony, his voice gaining steel. "I'm not backing down. This ends now." Pride swelled in me, my brilliant, broken Elijah, rising like code from the ashes. But as we dressed for the showdown, him in a crisp white shirt that hugged his lean frame, me adjusting his tie with steady hands, dread coiled in my gut. "Whatever happens," I said, cupping his face, "we face it together." The hearing room in Apex's glass tower was a coliseum of polished mahogany and flickering projectors, execs in tailored suits eyeing us like specimens. The board chair, a silver-haired titan named Hargrove, banged his gavel. "Mr. Harper, your allegations are serious. But our forensics confirm the breach originated from your workstation. Lies projected in damning slides, forged logs, timestamps twisted like pretzels." Elijah stood, unflinching. "With all due respect, sir, that's bullshit. Here's the real trail." He launched into his presentation, voice steady, slides flipping to reveal the glitch's anatomy, Theo's IP, the admin override, the cover-up emails. Gasps rippled through the room. Hargrove's face purpled. "This is slander." But Lena rose, cool as ice. "It's evidence. And we're filing suit, wrongful termination, defamation, the works." Chaos erupted, lawyers shouting, aides scrambling. In the melee, Theo burst in, wild-eyed, clutching a USB drive. "Wait, I have proof. I did it, but..." Hargrove ordered it. To cull the weak links before the merger. The room froze, betrayal's full bloom on display. Hargrove lunged, but security swarmed. Theo turned to Elijah, tears streaming. "I'm sorry, man. It was eat or be eaten. But you deserved better." Elijah's face crumpled, a mix of fury and pity. "You were my brother, Theo. How could you?" Theo hung his head. "Fear. The system's rigged. I just played along." Hargrove was cuffed amid flashes from smuggled phones, the glitch exposed as deliberate purge. Elijah and I slipped out as the vultures descended, the elevator our sanctuary. He collapsed against me, shaking. "It's over. We won." But victory tasted bittersweet. On the street, rain slicking the sidewalks, Elijah pulled away, eyes distant. "What now?" "The job's gone. My rep scarred." I took his hands, rain mingling with our breaths. "Now we rebuild. You, me, our way." He searched my face, then nodded, a tentative smile breaking through. We kissed in the downpour, dramatic and alive, the city blurring around us. Love, in that moment, was the ultimate debug. Emotional, romantic, a humanistic triumph over code's cold heart. Yet, as we hailed a cab, Elijah's phone buzzed. A job offer from a rival firm, scouting talent. They want me. Maybe. Elation surged. But so did the undercurrent of change. We'd fought the system, but could we fight the drift it left behind? The weeks post-hearing unfolded like a glitchy simulation, euphoric highs crashing into mundane lows. Apex crumbled under scrutiny. Hargrove indicted, Theo testifying for immunity, the merger scrapped in a flurry of shareholder suits. Elijah's story went viral, op-eds hailing him as the coder who cracked corporate corruption. Invites poured in TEDx talks, podcast circuits, even a profile in The Atlantic framing him as the queer whistleblower tech needed. We moved temporarily to a sublet in Chelsea, a sun-drenched loft with exposed brick and a view of the Hudson that felt like stolen luxury. Mornings were ours. Coffee on the balcony. Elijah's head in my lap as I read him news clips, his laughter echoing off the water. Look at this, Elijah Harper. Hero or hacker? Hero. Obviously. I'd ruffle his hair, pulling him up for a kiss that lingered, sweet with promise. Our love deepened in the afterglow. Romantic walks through the High Line turning confessional. Sharing dreams deferred. Fears of fading into footnotes. But success's shadow loomed. The job offer from Nexus Labs, a bleeding-edge AI startup in San Francisco, dangled like forbidden fruit. It's everything I wanted, Elijah confessed one evening, pacing the loft as city lights twinkled below. Equity, autonomy, a fresh start. My stomach twisted. And me? Long-distance debugging. He stopped, cupping my face. Come with me, Logan. Build it together. The proposal hung, emotional weight pressing down. I'd built my life in New York, the friends, minus one trader, the rhythm of subways and street vendors. Uprooting felt like deleting a save file. I need time, I said, voice thick. He nodded, but hurt flickered in his eyes. That night, we made love slowly, bodies mapping familiar territories, but a hesitance crept in, kisses tentative, as if bracing for fracture. Betrayal's echo resurfaced in unexpected ways. Theo reached out via email, a rambling apology. I was wrong. The system's poison I drank deep. If you can forgive. Elijah deleted it unread, but I saw the tremor in his hand. He almost destroyed us. I held him close. But he didn't. We did that. Humanistic grace. I thought, forgiving not for them, but for the space it freed in us. As autumn deepened, leaves carpeting the parks in crimson, the decision loomed. Elijah jetted west for interviews, returning with sun-kissed cheeks and tales of the Bay's innovation buzz. It's electric, Logan. Hackers in hoodies changing the world. Envy nipped at me, not jealousy, but the fear of being left in the debug log. One night, after a gala where he keynoted to thunderous applause, we argued raw, voices echoing off the loft's beams. Why won't you try? He demanded, eyes flashing. Is it the city, or me? Paced, frustration boiling. It's everything. We fought so hard here. Does it mean nothing? He deflated, sinking onto the couch. It means everything. But staying stuck. That's the real glitch. Silence stretched, heavy as fog. I knelt before him, taking his hands. I love you too much to lose you. But change terrifies me. Tears welled in his eyes, mirroring mine. Then let's be terrified together. We clung, the fight dissolving into whispers, bodies seeking solace. It was dramatic catharsis, love as battlefield and bomb, emotional in its vulnerability. Come morning, I booked tickets west. Let's glitch the map. His grin lit the room, pulling me into a spin that ended in laughter and kisses. The move was chaos. Packing boxes amid goodbyes, Carla toasting us with her last cigarette. Don't let the valley eat your souls. Friends piling into a farewell brunch at a dim-sum spot in Chinatown. Elijah and I drove cross-country in a rented U-Haul. Route 60 SIXS ghosts our companions, neon motels, desert sunsets painting the cab in gold. We talked endlessly. Childhoods unpacked, futures sketched on napkins. Imagine our office, he mused, hand on my thigh as Nevada blurred by. Whiteboards, weird plants. You and me, unbreakable. San Francisco welcomed us with fog-kissed hills and overpriced lattes. Nexus scooped us up, Elijah as lead architect, me on ethics integration, our salaries padding a cozy Victorian in the Mission District. Life recalibrated. Farmers markets on Saturdays, coding sprints broken by hikes in Muir Woods, where ancient redwoods whispered approval. Our love thrived in the new rhythm, dinners by candlelight on the fire escape, his head on my shoulder during indie films, the city's pulse syncing with ours. Yet, conflict simmered beneath the surface. Nexus was Apex's mirror, albeit shinier, cutthroat deadlines, VCs breathing down necks. Elijah dove in headfirst, late nights blurring into dawn, his brilliance shining but at a cost. Dark circles, snapped patience. It's the dream, he'd say, waving off concern. But I saw the toll, the way he'd flinch at my touch after a brutal review. The breaking point came midwinter, rain lashing the bay windows like New York's vengeful ghost. Elijah's prototype, an ethical predictor to prevent biases in hiring algos, flagged during testing. Flawed, the CTO barked in all hands, like its creator's distractions. The room tittered. Elijah's face burned. Home. He hurled his laptop across the room, screen cracking like ice. They see me as the token gay guy. Still, I cleaned up the shards, heart aching. Then we fight it. Like before, but he shook his head, defeated. I'm tired, Logan. Of glitches, of proving. The vulnerability cracked me open. We argued again, words like shrapnel. You dragged me here, I shouted. For what? To watch you break. He recoiled. I thought we were partners. Not prisoners. The silence after was arctic. He slept on the couch. I stared at the ceiling, replaying our cross-country vows. Betrayal inverted not from without, but the slow erosion within. Was love enough against ambition's grind? Dawn brought tentative olive branches. Coffee, apologies murmured over burnt toast. I don't want to lose us, he said, voice small. I pulled him close. Then don't. We're the fix. Spring thawed the rift. Projects greenlighting. Our bond reforged in therapy sessions, queer affirming, opening. We learned to code boundaries. Date nights enforced. Vulnerabilities voiced. Romance rekindled in small flames. Picnics in Golden Gate Park. His sketches of our glitch-free life framed on the wall. It was humanistic growth. Emotional depth layering our foundation. But as summer crested, a letter arrived, certified, official. Apex. In settlement. Offered restitution. Back pay. Public exoneration. Elijah held it. Eyes distant. Closure. But does it change anything? I shook my head. Only if we let it. We burned it in the sink that night. Flames dancing like defiant stars. Toasting with cheap wine. To new code, he said. Lips on mine. In that kiss. Dramatic renewal, love's endless debug. San Francisco's summer fog rolled in thick as unresolved code, cloaking the city in mystery and mirroring the haze in our hearts. Nexus hummed with progress, Elijah's ethical algo deploying successfully, earning him a corner office with a view of Alcatraz, an ironic nod to past incarcerations of spirit. We celebrated with a weekend in wine country, Napa's vines heavy with promise, our rental convertible top-down as we sang off-key to old mixtapes. This is it, he yelled over the wind, hand squeezing mine. Us. Winning. Nights in the vineyard cottage were poetry. Starlit baths. His fingers tracing constellations on my skin. Whispers of forever traded like vows. It was romantic idol, the kind that tricks you into complacency. Love as sun-dappled escape from the machine. But back in the mission. Reality rebooted, boardroom pressures mounting, Elijah's star rising while mine plateaued. Whispers in hallways, Harper's the visionary, Reyes is. Support, the stung, a subtle demotion in the narrative we'd co-authored. Conflict escalated when Nexus announced a buyout, Google's shadow looming, billions on the table. Elijah was tapped for the pitch, jetting to Mountain View for war rooms and NDAs. It's huge, he enthused upon return. Eyes alight. Could change everything. I forced a smile, masking the gnaw of isolation. Late dinners alone. My contributions footnotes in emails. Proud of you, I said, meaning it, but the words tasted hollow. The betrayal this time was self-inflicted, a glitch in my own wiring. During one of his trips, I reconnected with an old LA flame, Marcus, a graphic designer now freelancing in the Bay. A coffee for old times stretched into drinks, nostalgia blurring lines. Nothing happened, but the guilt festered, a secret tab open in my browser of conscience. When Elijah returned, buoyant with deal prospects, I overcompensated lavish date at Gary Danko, oysters and confessions that skirted the truth. He sensed the shift, though, during a hike up Twin Peaks, the city sprawling below like a circuit board. You're distant, he said, pausing on the trail, sweat beading on his brow. Talk to me. The words tumbled. Not the coffee, but the fear. You're soaring, Eli. I'm orbiting. What if I can't keep up? His face softened, pulling me into a hug that smelled of eucalyptus and effort. You're my gravity, Logan. Without you, I'd burn out. The kiss that followed was grounding, emotional anchor in the altitude. But the buyout soured fast. Google execs demanded tweaks. Dial back the ethics module. It's a buzzkill for profits. Elijah resisted, voice rising in virtual meets. This isn't just code, it's people. Biases baked in kill dreams. Tensions peaked at a team retreat in Tahoe. Pine-scented cabins and trust falls masking the fracture. Around the fire pit, beers in hand, the CTO cornered him. Harper, you're brilliant, but idealistic. Tone it down, or the deal, and your spot vanishes. Elijah stormed back to our room, slamming the door. They're no better than Apex. Suits in hoodies. I held him as fury gave way to sobs. The man who'd toppled giants now cracking under their weight. I thought we escaped, he choked. But the system's everywhere. We made promises in the dark. Relocate again? Start Indy? But dawn brought compromise. Elijah pushing back, rallying the team for a stand. The climax detonated mid-pitch. Video feed live to Mountain View. Elijah, unflappable in his Navy suit, unveiled the Algo's full power. Simulations showing biased hires costing billions in turnover. Lives derailed. This isn't optional, he declared, eyes locking on the camera. It's human. Silence. Then uproar, execs praising the bold vision. But privately, the CTO fumed, leaking dissent to VCs. Whispers reached us. Harper's too woke. Tank the deal. Betrayal struck from within again. Our lead engineer, a quiet coder named Raj, who'd bonded with Elijah over shared immigrant stories, sold out. He forwarded Elijah's pitch notes to competitors, angling for his own golden ticket. The leak hit like a DDoS. Nexus stock dipping. Elijah's name smeared in trade rags as disruptive diva. We discovered it over takeout Thai. Raj's email trail glaring from the laptop. Elijah's rage was volcanic. Not again. Why? He paced the Victorian's creaky floors, fists clenched. I pulled him down, voice calm. Because fear's contagious. But we're immune. He collapsed against me, the fight draining out. I can't keep losing. Our embrace turned fervent. Kisses a bulwark against the storm, dramatic, desperate. Love's fierce retort to treachery. We confronted Raj the next day in a neutral cafe by the Embarcadero, foghorns moaning like dirges. It was business, he stammered, eyes downcast. You get it, survival. Elijah's voice was ice. Survival on stolen backs? We're done. Raj slunk away, but the damage rippled. Nexus pulled the buyout, pivoting to bootstrapping. Elijah, scapegoated, tendered resignation. I'm out. Can't code in poison. Heartbreak followed, him adrift, me holding the fragments. We retreated to Big Sur, a cliffside cabin where Pacific waves crashed like unresolved queries. Days blurred. Bonfires on the beach. His head in my lap as I read poetry. Whitman, for the queer soul of America. This is what matters, he murmured, fingers tracing my palm. Not empires. Us. Romance in ruins. Emotional rebirth. We shed the corporate skin, dreaming of a consultancy, ethical audits for startups. Our niche. But doubt lingered. One stormy night, waves thundering, Elijah confessed, what if I'm the glitch, too soft for this world? Thunder rattled the windows. I pulled him close. You're the upgrade, Eli. The world needs fixing. You're the tool. Our lovemaking was tender, reaffirming bodies as code, intertwined and true. Humanistic hope flickered. Love not despite flaws, but through them. Returning to the city, renewed, we launched Harper Reyes Consulting from our kitchen table. First client, a nonprofit building apps for underserved queer youth. Elijah's eyes sparkled as we demoed. This is why. Pride swelled. Our partnership, once shadowed, now shone. Yet, as fall winds stripped the palms, an email from Theo pinged, rehab, amends sought. I get it now. The system's me. Forgive? Elijah hesitated, then replied, time heals. Start with yourself. Closure. Bittersweet. In bed that night, He turned to me. You stayed. Through all. I kissed his forehead. Worth every line of code. Winter gripped the bay like a reluctant investor. Chill winds off the bay nipping at our heels as Harper Reyes took root. Our office. A sunny co-working space in Soma, with succulents on desks and a mural of binary rainbows, became sanctuary. Clients trickled in. Fintechs seeking bias audits. Edtechs auditing for equity. Elijah thrived. His presentations a blend of tech wizardry and heartfelt advocacy, drawing nods from skeptics. You're changing the game, a CEO told him post-demo, and I believed it watching from the wings. My role in seamless support, our synergy the secret sauce. Love settled into comfortable rhythms. Weekday runs along the Embarcadero, where we'd pause to watch seals bark at the piers. Lazy Sundays curating playlists. His mixes heavy on indie folk that echoed our cross-country drives. Intimacy evolved less urgent, more profound. Mornings tangled in sheets, coffee breaths mingling as we planned the week. You're my constant, he'd say, nuzzling my neck. It was romantic maturity, emotional depth honed by trials, a humanistic tapestry of two lives woven tight. But the past, like bad code, resurfaced unbidden. Spring brought Elijah's Portland invite, his mother's health failing, a olive branch extended via sister. She wants to meet the man who saved you. Hesitation gripped him, old wounds raw. What if it's a trap? Conversion pamphlets and judgment. I squeezed his hand over breakfast burritos. Or healing. Go. I'll hold the fort. He flew north alone, nerves jangling like loose wires. Updates trickled. Awkward dinners. Stilted talks. Then, the call at midnight. Logan. She hugged me. Said she's sorry. For everything. His voice cracked. Joy laced with grief. Dad's gone. But she sees me now. Us. Tears pricked my eyes. I whispered encouragements. Pride blooming. He returned changed, lighter. The boy from Oregon bridging to the man he'd become. Our own milestone loomed. Anniversary of the glitch. Marked not with cake but a vow renewal at Baker Beach. Waves lapping as we exchanged rings. Simple bands engraved with debugged. Friends gathered Carla via video. New allies toasting with craft IPAs. To glitches that gift. Elijah raised his glass. Eyes on mine. The kiss under sunset was electric. Dramatic echo of our rainy New York start. Love's full circle. Humanistic in its grace. Conflict's final whisper came via Nexus Fallout. A class action suit naming Elijah as lead plaintiff. Dredging old slurs. Paparazzi hounded our doorstep. Headlines twisting triumphs into scandals. Whistleblower or wrecker? One blared. Elijah withdrew. Nights spent staring at the ceiling. Am I poison? He'd ask. Voice small. I counter with facts, clients doubling. Lives impacted but doubts virus spread. The climax crested at a tech ethics conference in Seattle. Elijah keynoting to a packed hall. Midway, hecklers stormed the stage. Paid trolls, apex remnants shouting traitor. Chaos. Mics cut. Security swarming. Elijah froze. Stage lights harsh. But then he grabbed the podium. Voice booming. Traitors? No. I'm the truth you fear. That humanity trumps your profits. That love that we outlast your games. The crowd erupted. Cheers drowning the din. He stepped off to ovation. Trembling in my arms backstage. You're a force, I murmured, kissing his sweat-damp brow. He laughed, shaky. Only because you're my power source. We flew home triumphant. The suit settling in Elijah's favor. Donations to queer coding camps. Quiet win. Summer sealed our arc. A road trip north. Olympic Peninsula's rainforests our backdrop. Around campfires, we reflected betrayals as teachers, glitches as guides. I stayed because you're worth it, I said, stars wheeling above. And I'd do it again. He leaned in, lips soft. Good. Because some systems need two to rewrite. Back in the bay, life bloomed. A book deal for Elijah's memoir, Glitch in the Code. Co-authored with me, our voices intertwined. Launches in New York drew crowds. Old ghosts exorcised in applause. Theo appeared at one. Sober and subdued, Elijah clasped his shoulder. Water under the bridge? Theo nodded, eyes grateful. Forgiveness, not absolution, humanistic mercy. As autumn waned, we adopted a rescue mutt. Pixel, a scruffy terrier with glitchy energy, our family complete. Evenings on the porch, Elijah's head on my shoulder, Pixel at our feet, the city humming below. Happy? I'd ask. His smile, radiant. Debugged and upgraded. The ending wasn't fireworks, but Huthfire warm, enduring. In America's vast code, we'd hacked a space for us. Dramatic in battles won, emotional in scars born, romantic in touches shared, humanistic in the simple act of staying. Some people are worth fighting for. And in Elijah's eyes, every dawn, I saw why.